This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, this is Ravinder. To introduce myself, I have 14 years of experience as a SQL DBA. I do work on Mongo as well last 7 years. I do work on Azure SQL DBA also last 7 years. I do work on Postgres, AWS also along with all these profiles. That is about a little intro about myself. So let's start our agenda today. What are the things we are going to discuss in our demo? The first thing is on-prem data centers. So what are the challenges people are facing to maintain on-prem data centers that we will focus first? Then what are the advantages we are getting by moving to the cloud? That also the major focus of agenda today. So then in managed instance is something before the cloud evolved, what was there and what kind of services managed services people used to give, that we're going to talk about. A little bit of virtualization, how people are adapting new things when it is changing the cost of the infrastructure or changing the IT revolution and all that. We're going to take a little bit of discussion on the virtualization as well, though it is not like a related topic. So let's get into on-prem data center first. Then I'm going to go point by point as we progress today in the demo. Fine. So to talk about on-prem data centers, the challenges that people do face, let's talk about that. First, you have to identify a location where you wanted to deploy your data center, which should be, safe enough against the natural calamities, and it should be safe enough, like unexpected events like fire burns or something. It should not be nearest to that kind of locations. It has to be safe against the uh, natural calamities and any unexpected unforeseen situations. Kind of they have to investigate that location, host the server infrastructure there. That is one thing. And you place the server somewhere, you operate from somewhere. Always it is the same, this is model we will follow everywhere. So when you keep the server somewhere, you are operating from somewhere, you need to have high bandwidth capacity links between the data center and your operation center. It is always must be maintained by the clients. And again, you cannot rely on one provider because the provider can go down because of many reasons. You need to subscribe to different provider also as an alternative solution in case of any downtime. In case of any fiber cut happens, you need to have the alternate connectivity to your data center to access the data. And software licensing, so any business to run, we need a lot of different softwares. We need front end, middleware, back end softwares. Some are open source, some are licensed, some are semi licensed. So every software, whatever you are going to use, you need to track yourself and you need to know how many licenses you're using it. You need to make a note of it, everything that you do, right? That must be maintained. So again, after that, extremely redundant power source, like in case your data center area lost the power for some reason, the problem can be any natural disaster or any strikes in that area, whatsoever the case. You lost the power nearest to your data center and you don't have a power supply to your data center. So what you have to do, you have to have the enough of UPS system to run your servers at least a day at least, or at least 12 hours, something like that. If 12 hours are also exceeded, you must have a diesel generator to maintain the power supply. If not, you're going to see entire downtime on the data center. That nowhere acceptable by the businesses generally, right? And dust-free controlled environment within the data centers. We should see the servers will run 24 by 7, 365 days. When the systems are running, you have to maintain that absolutely dust-free. If not, the CPU fan will accumulate the dust. When you restart the server, it won't reboot. Okay, you have to enter manually, clean that up, dust and all. Then the server will reboot. That kind of things you have seen your laptops also. Like if you are using your laptop for since very long, it will auto shut down automatically after heating up because of that air flow is not going well through the server. That will create the issue. Efficient cooling and air ventilation system. So why we need a cooling inside the data center? Because servers, when they are running, they generate a lot of heat. In fact, to maintain that temperature level, we must maintain the efficient cooling. If not, circuits will break at certain temperature. They won't sustain after beyond some certain temperature. You definitely have to maintain the cooling within the data center to maintain that temperature what is generated by the systems. In fact, high physical security. So you cannot allow anyone to enter your data center. Only authorized people should enter your data center. There should be physical security guards who can verify your authentication or authorization to enter into data center for repairing, for any repair purposes. It's not something, like you can just stand up a data center, you can leave isolated kind of. It has to be monitored all the time by the physical security, and even through network tools also, like you have to monitor the entire infrastructure. And again, you cannot dependent on one single data center. If you have it some unexpected natural calamities, maybe huge floods wash the entire area, maybe earthquake, the entire earthquake, the area has got impacted completely. So things can happen. You cannot dependent on one single data center. You need to do everything what we discussed here in another as a standby data center. It is mandatory to maintain, because you don't know when can happen. Without data you cannot operate your business. Everything running through the data only, every single business nowadays. Without the data you cannot operate. So protecting the data in all directions is very very important. So you need to maintain the same things what we discussed in the above points in the other data center as well, to have a DR. In case of primary data center is down due to unexpected events, you must have another standby data center to, similar kind of things you have to maintain there. So which is very expensive for any personal company to maintain these kind of things. Anyway, this kind of model is followed by the people since very long, but people are smart enough nowadays. People are looking for the cost effective solutions where they can save the cost, where they can use the less resources and get the benefit. People are nowadays, everyone are smart. Before they are investing, they are thinking twice, not like olden days. So these are all definitely expensive for any individual company to maintain, okay, all the time. You need different technology people to maintain different like technologies, and you need more people. In fact, if it is on-prem, if it is a cloud, you will reduce the people towards especially infrastructure side, Windows server side, networking side, maybe even backup side. You don't need that many people. Hyper-V side, you don't need that many people. Especially infrastructure people, we can reduce the count if we are moving to the cloud side, because it is being taken care by the cloud operator. Then what was there before the cloud? There used to be called managed services. These people used to provide the similar services what cloud is giving now, but their existence is very very limited. They don't have the globalized infrastructure to give the services. They do stand up a one data center and they sell the servers to the market. If anybody need maybe 5 or 10 servers, you will go to the managed services data center. You'll ask that I need 10 servers to run my business. Can you provide me? And they will create the server. They'll install the OS. They install the products and everything. They'll maintain end-to-end support. They'll give it. You don't need to worry about. You only have to worry about your application development and application code logic. All that you have to take care. The rest of the things they will take care. These people are, more service oriented than cloud. They do maintain everything what they have hosted on the managed services. The big problem with these guys is actually they are not globalized. They are very very limited infrastructure they'll have it, and they are regional. Within the region only they operate. That's the problem. So anyway, this kind of people still exist in the market, and but companies who are globalized, they cannot go to the managed services because their services are very limited anyway, in terms of infrastructure basically. So this is the case before the cloud. Basically, that people were not globalized that time. Before the cloud, in the sense I'm talking about 2005, 2005 before. So not much of globalization happened that time in terms of computing basically. But once the cloud is evolved and things are, became easy for people to spam across, like across the countries and operate without any their own infrastructure, just keeping things in cloud and running from anywhere is possible now. We'll talk about. I'm going to. We have a lot of topics towards that. How we can globalize the infrastructure so quickly using the cloud. Virtualization. Virtualization is also one of the biggest revolution. Computing era. Before virtualization, what used to happen? You stand up a very big machine that should be that should scale up, during the high peak load hours. So, but what about the non-peak hours? Non-peak hours, you are wasting entire computing resources. That used to happen when the VMware introduced 1999, in fact, this was quite quickly adopted by the market because you can stand up a big machine. On top of it, we can create a tiny machines. If one machine is not using the resource, other machine can use it for the backend maintenance activities. You are engaging your computing resources all the time 24 by 7 by creating multiple tiny machine on the same physical box. So that way you are utilizing the computing resources at maximum level. You're taking the advantage of what you have invested at maximum level. That is possible through the virtualization, and everything is nowadays virtualized. 99%, most probably 1% uh, servers are physical now in the market, right? So that's how people are migrating it. When they are getting the benefits, they are moving towards it, and they're looking at the benefits, they're moving it so quickly. That's how you need to also adapt based on the way the market is moving. That's how, as a technician, we also need to move ahead. That's the what is cloud computing. Just for the definition's sake, there are hundreds of definitions on the web, basically. Okay, so I took at least two just to have a little bit of discussion about it. So it is the cloud computing. It is the use of remote servers on the internet to store, manage, and process the data center data rather than on local server or your personal computer. You don't keep your data in your machines. You keep in the cloud servers and operate from there. Whatever the data you wanted, you upload, and whatever data you wanted, you can retrieve it. So you're not managing it. The cloud is managing it. You're putting in the cloud and operating from there. It is kind of a cloud computing. So cloud computing is a delivery of on-demand computing resources over the internet on pay-per-use basis. So you can create the number of servers that you wanted and destroy when you don't want. If it is on-prem, you already purchased the server, even you don't want, you already spend the money on it. Okay. In the cloud, I need for only 10 days. I can create 100 servers for 10 days and use it due to some demand, and then destroy right after it. It is possible. So cloud computing is given such an opportunity to just use these things, and then destroy when you don't want. So temporarily you can take the resources and destroy as you don't want. So that way you can control the cost. You don't need to purchase the machines just for the temporary basis. If you purchased, you invested already, and you use it, you don't use it, your money is gone. But if it is cloud, is not like that. You can create your server, use it for the time period what you wanted, and destroy it right after it. You're only paying for the period what you have used. You're not wasting money on unnecessary things, unnecessary demands, right? There could be some demands where you wanted more computing power, but after a while you don't need that. So that way you will waste a lot of money if it is on prem. Then cloud deployment models. Don't need to worry, I'm going to talk a lot of points towards cloud, how it is benefiting the market, basically. Cloud deployment model, this is very, very important. Public cloud is something who can give the services to everyone in the world. It is not restricted to anyone. In fact, anyone who have the credit card can subscribe and start building the resources and start using the services. Basically, it is open to everyone in the world. Private cloud, everything is a cloud. In fact, why everything is a cloud? See, as I said in the beginning, you don't operate just by sitting beside to the server. Servers, data centers are located somewhere. You operate from somewhere. Over the internet, you connect in the background and work, basically. So whatever you work in this model remotely, that comes a cloud, basically. So private clouds, private data centers are also called as private clouds, basically. They are owned by single organizations. They won't let anyone to enter into their private clouds. It's fully secured and made with a lot of firewalls to allow the specific networks only who they trust, actually. So it is owned by single organization, and they don't share anything with anyone, especially. That's how the private clouds operate, basically. Hybrid cloud, what exactly the hybrid cloud? It's a combination of on-prem and cloud combination. So if you take my environment, I have 40% of the on-prem infrastructure, 60% we have the cloud infrastructure. So we are operating in both the model, on-prem and cloud model. That is called hybrid model. Have your own infrastructure where you are seeing that data is so critical, you don't want to keep it outside your infrastructure. That kind of data you're operating from your servers, and data which you can distribute and share and send the data to public. You are operating from the cloud. Anyway, cloud is absolutely safe enough. You don't have any threats in the cloud. I'm going to talk about that. But people are not feeling safe at the moment for keeping some financial data, maybe some, like client transaction information kind of data. They're operating from the on-prem service itself. So anyway, some people, even they don't need a cloud, still they're exploring the cloud options, how it is benefiting the infrastructure kind of. Even you would have seen in your companies, they are they don't have a cloud requirement, still they are running something in the cloud just for testing purpose, not for the live. So people are exploring the cloud, though they don't need it. Why? Because they wanted to understand the cloud, how it operates, kind of. So nowadays, most of the businesses are becoming hybrid cloud. They are keeping critical data on the on-prem and normal data on the cloud and operating it. This having on-prem cloud together in one company is a hybrid cloud combination. That is called hybrid, basically. In fact, okay. So any questions you can ask, guys. Don't need to keep quiet. I would highly encourage to ask your questions if you have it. Then cloud
Yeah, sure.
category. So cloud categories are very, very important to understand. Again, we are going to talk about infrastructure as a service and PaaS, platform as a service. Software as a service, you don't need to do anything. It is a ready to use softwares. As a DBA, you don't get any scope to work on the SaaS services because they are ready to use softwares. They are well developed, deployed, ready to use software. Like you have the WhatsApp, you have the GoToMeeting link I have given. So nothing I have done or nothing you have done. It is done by the software provider. They are enabling us to use straight away that software. Okay, if you go to any Google store, you're downloading the app, installing and giving the your personal details and start using it. No one is approving it. It is already self deployed services. These are all always, you don't have to do any customizations. You don't have a scope to change any settings. Absolutely, it is a well defined and ready to use softwares. Emails, if you are trying to create an email, you go and create n number of emails by giving your different unique email ID and your personal details. You can create number of emails and start sending the emails. There no one is restricting. So these are all actually ready to use software. Anything that you get ready to use without any one assistance, that comes under SaaS services blindly. Okay, platform as a service which runs on top of the cloud platform. You have a lot of customization. Still you can do the customizations. Okay, you can control the security compliances and cost optimizations, and you can control your DRs, and you can maintain your performance levels, how you wanted to maintain the performance, and you can deploy the databases with the required pricing tiers. There are a lot of things basically here. So we can control a lot of things, but you don't have a VM. Underlying VM, you don't have control. You just run the service and use the service according to your need. You can change your customizations. You can do your own customizations and operate basically. So PaaS protects your data. PaaS and SaaS, these two areas will protect the data 100%, 99.59 in fact. How do they protect the data in the PaaS and SaaS? Let me quickly explain just for the information. If it is a PaaS or SaaS, your data is 99.995979 totally. So the scope of data corruption is zero almost. Okay. So how do they maintain this? When whatever you create in the PaaS model, you create a database, they maintain two copies of your data in the background. You don't see these copies, but they synchronize asynchronously this data, and they maintain two copies of your data. Why they are maintaining it when you cannot see this? So they are maintaining to recover the data in case of hardware corruption. If anything, if any data is corrupted in the primary copy, the healthy copy will come and repair the data which is corrupted. The user does not know that the data got corrupted and it got repaired by the system automatically. The user does not know that. So in the PaaS model, in the SaaS model, whatever the data you operate, it is 100% safe. Even you will have a automated continuous backups, like every 5 minutes backup, every 10 minutes backup, depends on the transaction ratio. It will continuously pick up the backup without your intervention. You just create the database, it will start picking the backups automatically in the PaaS model. You don't need to take the backup. Recovery also, one click away recovery. So again, your data is fully encrypted by default. You don't need to ask for the encryption. All PaaS SQL Server databases are encrypted, TD enabled by default. We're going to see all of that. So in the SaaS and PaaS model, data protection is 100% is given. And data protection is also, I mean, in terms of security also, 100% is given. Everything is encrypted by default. Infrastructure as a service is something you will be given a VM. You have to create a VM, and you do whatever you want to do within the VM. If you create a VM, that comes under a IaaS, infrastructure as a service. If you don't create a VM and creating some service and interacting with and doing your own customization and operating it, that comes under as a PaaS model, where you have some scope for the administration. Whereas in the SaaS model, you don't have anything at all. Absolutely, it is a self, anyone can go and create the service and start using it without any changes or settings kind of thing. Okay, we have all SaaS services, PaaS, IaaS, everything. I'm going to, whenever I'm talking about the services, I'm going to highlight this is SaaS service, this is a PaaS service, this is IaaS service kind of. Anything you create a VM, that is a IaaS blind role. Okay, so you got a little bit of idea what is SaaS, PaaS, IaaS, right? So if you look at diagrammatically, just for the information, see, on-prem, you do maintain everything. There is no third-party involvement here. You have to design your network rules, and you have to maintain your storage, LUNs, and everything, and servers, virtualization technique, and what are the operating systems you are running, you wanted, middleware, runtime, uptime means downtime, uptime, everything. You have the full control everywhere. If it is infrastructure as a service, you don't maintain the networking at all. Absolutely, it is under Microsoft control. Storage, you don't control the storage here. Actually, control in the sense, you, if I'm having 100 GB, I wanted to make 500 GB, you just give the number, it will expand up to 500 GB. You don't know how many LUNs are joining together to give you that project, that logical storage to you. You don't know, and you don't have to worry about. You just give the number, it will expand to that storage automatically. So backend, the technology, how they are using it is none of your business. You get the storage, whatever you're requesting for. Servers virtualization technique also, you don't control it here. You only have to select the OS. We have the Windows operating systems, Unix based operating systems in the cloud. We have many operating systems. I'm going to explain detail when we start the course anyway. So here you're going to choose only operating system what you wanted. The rest of underlying hardware, networking, storage, all the backend components are managed by the cloud. You don't have to worry about. Okay, so but the problem is, if the OS is corrupted, underlying disk is corrupted, Microsoft is not responsible on the IaaS model. You have to create your VM snapshot, you have to create the continuous database or product backups, so that if anything happens, you are responsible for recovering of the data again. Someone have a question? Right. So this is in the IaaS model. In the PaaS model, you see that you cannot even choose operating system. You cannot choose a SQL Server version. It is by default to the 19, by default to the 19 operating system. So everything is latest, and you don't have a choice to choose what you wanted. It is absolutely latest versions, latest editions. Everything will come automatically. You only operate the data. You only operate your customs, custom. If you wanted to maintain performance level, you have to create your own indexes. You have to manage the indexes, fragmentation, and all that. And you have to maintain the DRs for the load balancing. So you have to maintain yourself in terms of data only. The rest of the things are maintained by Microsoft. Absolutely. You cannot stop the SQL Server. You cannot start the SQL Server in the PaaS model at all, basically. It is fully managed by the cloud. If it is a SaaS, software as a service, you don't have any scope to do anything at all here. Okay. So these are all, like categories of cloud services, guys. Any questions here, please let me know. Else I'll move to the cloud benefits. This is a major agenda for us, especially. So any questions so
So,
far?
in past, it will be like SQL and everything will be installed, and you just have to manage the databases.
That's correct. So
Past.
you have to just give the name of the SQL server and then submit. It will create the SQL server automatically in the background with the latest to operating system, latest SQL server in enterprise by default. It will
Okay.
come with all the latest. You don't have to worry. You have to give the name and submit. That's it. It will create in the
Okay.
background automatically.
Mhm. Okay. Whereas in IaaS, it will be like creation of virtual machine and then
Yeah,
SQL Server on it.
right. You can install whatever the version you wanted, whatever the edition you wanted. It's up to you. You wanted to use for the SQL only, or you use it for the development of that some app services, or use for the front end anything. You have given a VM, do whatever you wanted within the VM. It's none of the Microsoft business. You're given an
Okay.
object, VM object, within that you do whatever you wanted to do, kind of thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. The
Ravinder, this one
major. Go
yeah,
ahead.
Ravinder, while installation, who will give the instance name, port number, and the network? Who will give these all things? Actually, when come to the application people, they have one instance name, right? For
Right.
example, if you go
So
to SAS, if you go to SAS environment, so well, because everything is already built, right? So if application team want to, I need this instance name, this port name. So in this case, what you can do?
it's predefined service, predefined port, predefined everything. You have to use that. The defined port, you have
No,
to use it.
no, but application team not agree that I don't want this name. I need this instance name, this port I need.
There is no instance here. These are all storage accounts, app services. You don't have database services in the SaaS anyway. Database services won't come
Okay.
under SaaS. Only PaaS and IaaS you'll get the database services.
But
Okay.
PaaS also already something is there, right? No need to install the DBA team, right?
No need to.
No, PaaS who will install the SQL services?
You no need to install. You have to choose. Like what is the name of the SQL server you wanted. That's it. It'll get installed automatically. It come with all the latest versions. It is a
Okay.
self self provisioned. You have to give the just name. What is a unique name you have to give it, and then submit. It will create a SQL server in the background. It will self provision with that name automatically. It will come. There is no named instance. Nothing here in the past model. Everything is unique. No box at all. Underlying Windows box you don't have it. It's just a DNS name where you connect and then operate. We'll see it. No need to worry. Right. So
Okay.
here, yeah. Any other question?
Yeah, in IaaS, you said storage is managed by Microsoft. So when the corruption happens, how can we, I mean, get the data back when it is managed by the Microsoft?
Right. You have to have your own snapshots. If it is a VM, if the disk VMDK drive is corrupted, they don't support. You have to have your own DR strategy. You have a VM replication. You have the always on availability configuration for the product. And for the VM, recovery, you have the snapshots are available to take it. You have to pick up your own strategy to recover it because hardware is hardware. So VM side, they don't protect it as long as you are protecting with your own strategies. They are given all the options to protect it. You have to follow with that.
Okay, they will provide the storage only, then everything else needs to be managed by us.
Yes, if it is a VM, yes, we have to do that. That's how the responsibility lies here. Okay.
Okay, okay.
PaaS is something you don't need to worry about. Absolutely, your data is protected with multiple copies and no corruption. Physical layer is corrupted. It can corrupt, right? Physical thing is much anything can corrupt. So, but they are maintaining multiple copies. The healthy copy will come and repair the corrupted portion of the data automatically without your notice, basically, as a user. Okay. That's in the PaaS and SaaS model. VM side, the IA side, you don't have that kind of things. Right. Let's talk about cloud benefits. Why the markets are moving to the cloud? What are the benefits people are really getting out of it? Let's focus towards those points now. Cost. Cost is the first thing, guys. Budget. So any company doing the business for earning the money, showing the good results quarter by quarter, so that the share value will grow, the company value will grow, and everything will grow. So cost is first primary thing. People will think of the alternatives. Okay, and cloud became an alternative. Why it is so? Basically, see, immediately you might not save a lot of money by using the cloud, but down the line you will save it. If it is on-prem, if I'm using I'm buying a new hardware for my data center today, and after 10 years my data, whatever the data I'm putting on the server, is not the data what I'm keeping 10 years ago, and data is the hardware is outdated, and data is becoming more and more, and the oldest hardware cannot process the data. You have to replace the entire hardware with the latest configurations. Then only you can fulfill the newest data business requirements, because data is growing exponentially day by day. Your old hardware definitely outdated after some time, and you have to repurchase the entire hardware and migrate or upgrade all the products. And also, if at all you wanted to do the software upgrades, why we need to do the software upgrades? Generally, to get the more features, the newer versions, the more features, the product will also become lightweight, right? Every product will do that way only. So when you have to upgrade your softwares, you cannot do the in place upgrades. You have to buy a new machine altogether, migrate it and upgrade it. So every time you wanted to upgrade your software, you need a new server, new investment, all that. Cloud is not like that. You create a new machine, deploy all the softwares and migrate and destroy the old one. That's it. You don't need to pay anymore to two machines. You are paying again to the one machine only. If it is on-prem, I invested 10 years ago for entire data center. Entire data center infrastructure got outdated. I have to reinvestment right from the scratch, right? If it is a cloud, it's not like that. I create a new machine, migrate and destroy. I don't have to worry about. Even if it is on-prem, the old infrastructure, you have to give it to the authorized scrap vendor. For scrapping also, you have to pay for it. So there are a lot of investment actually getting saved by implementing the cloud down the line also. Immediately also you can save it if you are following all the cost optimization methods. I'm going to talk about. I'm the part of the cost optimization method and cost optimization team in my project. So I do a lot of stuff towards cost. I'm going to share all my experience anyway. How do you save the cost towards infrastructure, towards database? Both we're going to talk. So anyway, here cloud is eliminating the capital, the initial capital to invest. So if any startup company wanted to start a business, they don't have a money to start a business because they wanted to deploy data center, run the softwares and operate, and people, everybody, they have to recruit. A lot of money investment is will go on in the beginning stage itself. Cloud is giving the ready-made solution. You don't need to do anything, just create the services and pay after a month, pay after a quarter, something you have to go with the agreement. Basically do the business, get the money and pay it off. So you are actually given a credit basis. In fact, the services are giving on the credit basis. In fact, you can block the services by prepaying also for longer time for a deeper discounts. But if you don't have a money, you can use the services on credit basis. You use it and pay it later on, kind of. So that way startup companies are getting the buffer zone where they don't have money but they have a business plan they can implement. They can get the money and they pay off to the cloud basically. So that way all startup companies are absolutely moving to the cloud. No one is implementing their own data centers nowadays. Even the existing data centers are also slowly they are retiring and moving to the cloud. They are not repurchasing the new hardware again to go into the same loop. Okay, so first thing is you don't need of cloud computing is eliminated the capital expense of the companies by having buying the hardware, software, setting up, running on-site data centers. You don't need to maintain the infrastructure, licenses, bandwidth, air conditioning, water to maintain that air conditioning and all that. So it is all headache. You have to make sure that everything is available, right? If it is a cloud, you don't need to worry. The underlying hardware is maintained by them. You only have to worry about your services, your monitoring systems. That's it. The rest will be taken care by underlying, entire thing will be taken care by the cloud. So the lot of headache have been removed, a lot of resources can be removed from the infrastructure side. So you're getting the straight away benefit in the form of cost, not immediately maybe because of your running the large machines, but down the line you definitely get the double benefit. Why? Because when you have to upgrade software or hardware, you can easily replace it with a new hardware by just spinning off a new machine, upgrade migrate the data new server, destroy the old one. So that way you have to look at the down the line, and immediately also for the small startup companies also getting the benefit of it. Obviously cost makes a very bigger role in any business. And global scale, nowadays every business is getting globalized. No one is doing the business in one country. They'll start with one country but they'll expand to multiple multinational. Basically everybody are becoming MNCs nowadays. So when they have to become a MNC, so try to understand this is very important. So you operate, you have your example, you're running the business in India or in US, whatever it is. You expanded your business to different countries. These are all countries, assume a case. So you can serve the data from here to all the countries. It is possible. The problem is the latency, right? The farther the distance, the poor response of the server can happen. Why? Because it has to travel through a long distance to give the response. When the response is slow, you don't operate. Business users will go off out of your business to someone else because they're everywhere competitors. So you have to deploy the IT resources nearest to that data center, the nearest to that operation center, and serve the data. So when you become a multinational, you have to, if you are expanding your business in this country, you have to keep the resources here and then operate the data from there itself. So going to every country, building the data center is not an easy thing that we discussed in the first slide. All the headaches must be taken. So cloud is giving a ready-made solution for the people. They can go to any country. They have the Azure. See, the cloud computing is something AWS Azure has a vast infrastructure on the cloud side. You go to any region of the world, they almost covered the regions. If it is not there, subscribe to nearest region and use the IT resources. You don't need to go and deploy your data center everywhere that you expand your business nowadays. Use the cloud nearest to that region, operate the data to that local people straight away. If it is data you wanted to synchronize to the country where your the main data center location is there, you can synchronize in the background using the technologies. How you synchronize also will see it. You can make a big robust system here, but operate the data locally in each country to serve the data locally. So that this way the cloud has given ready-made solution to globalize anyone. No need to invest on every country to build a data center. Straight away you create the services. I'm going to show that you're going to create the resource in India and US, and then we can seamlessly integrate the resources. How we can integrate, how the both the resources look like a single network, single, like trusted network. How that happens, we will see it in detail of it. But try to understand here, globalization became easy for any company nowadays by using the cloud services, because no need to invest in every country. They scale, they are expanding the business. The ability to scale elastically, delivering the right amount of IT resources when needed from right geographic location. This is very important. Right geographic location, you're delivering the IT resources ready-madely. You don't need to worry about, you don't need to purchase, like you don't need to do the capacity planning, nothing. You don't need to do anything at all. Directly you can give the, if I wanted 10 CPUs to 100 CPUs, I can just straight away, I can select the family, I can select the size, and then straight away submit. It will rescale to the VM 10 CPU to 100 CPU straight away. You don't need to do the capacity planning. On the fly you can change the resources as needed. That way things will become easy. Performance always matters for any business of the systems. See, everything is going through the system nowadays, every single thing. And if you don't give the or serve the data on time or on, like on the best performance basis, you will have a lot of competitors. When you have a lot of competitors, you lose your business, as simple as it is. So you have to keep your softwares upgraded, hardware upgraded all the time to cope your data retrieval. See, because everyday data is growing abnormally. When it is growing, you need sophisticated hardware and software. Hardware and software, if it is not supporting, anything is lagging, you will see the performance issue in the data retrieval. If you are seeing the data retrieval issues, then you lose your business, because data is the only the part is playing the business nowadays. Everything is the data only. Everything and anything you look at is data, right? Using the soft devices. So performance is definitely important component, and it is easy for us to upgrade or migrate. Why? Because we can create a new machine, migrate and destroy the old one. You don't need to worry about the old one, what they are doing. It is destroyed, it is removed, and you are operating new machine. That is your business now. So that way we can easily get the performance benefits. Benefits in corporate data center include reduced network latency application, easy of upgradation in hardware and software. So first thing is you are operating nearest to the geographic location. That way you can reduce the latency. Second thing is you are upgrading hardware and software on demand as required, so easily without any pressurized. You're not paying for it, right, on the double infrastructure. Till during the migration you have to pay for the double. Why? Because till the new one is like standardized and stable, we will keep the old one as a standby. Okay, maybe 2 weeks, not more than that. That way you can save the money. Speed. See, if it is on-prem, if you wanted to get a new server, first you have to go to the finance team. Finance team will approve the budget, then it will go to the procurement team. Procurement team will contact the vendor. Vendor will build the server if it is specific given, you are giving the custom specifics. Then they'll build it, they'll give it to you, Windows team install and hook up into the network and install the required backend software and give it to the product team. So these are all hell of process is there with every company, and this will delay your delivery when required, right? That is the process. They wanted to track it. That's how things work in on-prem. This entire flow need to be followed. If it is a cloud, how small machine is 2 minutes it takes to provision a machine. 2 minutes, just maximum 2 to 3 minutes in worst case. So the speed of delivery became, so quick and easy for the people who are working in agile infrastructure. Like they need some companies take the clients bid for the project like anything, like with a cheaper cost, and they get the lot of project. They have to build the infrastructure so quickly and then hand it off. So cloud is giving a ready-made solution for them, right? Agility in provisioning of computing resources through self-service, on demand, features enabled, flexibility, depressurized capacity planning. You don't have to do anything at all. Just select whatever the options you wanted, or what are the operating system you wanted, what are the sizes you wanted, disk wise, CPU wise, memory wise, and then deploy the machine. Install the deployment of the machine will happen in 2 or 3 minutes maximum, and install the required software and build the web APIs and give it to the client as on demand. You can meet the demands because things are ready, right? So you can meet the demands by giving the like by giving the by getting the infrastructure, ready-made infrastructure. No need to wait for it. That way you can achieve the speed of delivery. In fact, speed of like creating the resources and delivery also can happen. Enhance the productivity. This is a big point actually. See, when the cloud has introduced into the market, people are requesting or seeking for multi-profile people. Before cloud was there, if one person is SME in one technology, it used to be hot cake. SME means you know everything in that product. That is enough to survive in the market, to get the best packages. Now no one is giving the best package if you know only one product. It is gone. You must be versatile. You have to know multiple technologies. So myself, I work on SQL, Mongo, and I work on Postgres, AWS, Azure. So I versatile myself because that's how the market is moving. If I don't, with 14 years of experience, I'll be fired off, right? So this cloud has brought that revolution in, I would say. Why? Because the cloud, you no need to work on a lot of things. Many things are automated. Many things are actually readily given. You have to work on few areas, right? So that way the amount of work you do is reduced. When it is reduced, you have to focus somewhere to shift your technical scope, right? So that's how the cloud actually like given a scope to people to learn new things, because they are not investing too much of money into one technology. So see, before cloud was evolved, there was no such demand. Now it is huge demand for the people who know the multiple technologies. Remove the need of racking, stacking, hardware setup, software setup, patching, upgrading it. You don't need to do. If it is a pass model, pass SQL server, you don't need to do the upgrade. Upgrade also will happen automatically. Patching also will happen automatically. Everything is automated. So when that is being done, DBA part, almost 50% of the work is automated. 50% still there anyway. It will be there forever. But when that kind of scope is given, you have the time to spend the time in other technology, learn it, support it, so that one company, one employee can support multiple technologies, so that company will benefit, employees skill set also will grow. That's how the cloud has given a challenge to the people in the market. So when the cloud is evolved and it started seeking people, the companies also looking for people who know the multiple technologies. That's how it started. Initially we have on-prem SQL, you are good at SQL DBA, that's enough. Now you need a cloud is an extension. Again, after a few years, you definitely need to know the Linux platforms, because SQL server runs on the Linux platforms, and you need to know the other products like including this. So that way the market is moving, you have to catch it up. That's how you survive in the world, right? Things are changing day by day, you also have to change along with the market. That's how it is. Enhance the productivity. And reliability talks about two things in fact here. One is a data recoverability and data protection. So cloud is giving 100% recovery if it is a pass model. If it is a pass model, data is by default like made two copies and automated backups, and there will be one more copy will sync in the background. Even this is corrupted, one more copy will be available. Two copies in one data center, one copy in the remote region basically. So three copies of the backup will be maintained, three copies of data, three copies of the backup also. Why they maintain three copies of the backup? Why we need the backup? When there is no corruption at all, why you need a backup? This kind of three copies of the backup, we need it because someone deleted the data. Someone deleted the data, manual corruption happened, you have to restore to that point. To restore the point, at least backup need to be available. So backup also have a multiple copies. So no scope of data loss in the PaaS model, you have 100% recoverability basically. So reliability is talking about recoverability. The recoverability is absolutely there in the PaaS model. If it is a VM model, even in the on-prem also, even you are maintaining your own data center, a disk is corrupted, what you do basically, you look for the backups first up to the point. So if backups are not available, you go to the VM snapshot, right, till the last night at least. Maybe the backups are also corrupted, the server is also corrupted. The last worst option is restoring the VM from the last latest snapshot, so to the last night. So you might lose the data after the last snapshot, but you're getting the data up to the last night. So even in the on-prem also the same concept, the cloud also same concept. You have to protect the data within the VM, because the VM disks can corrupt. It is a physical disk. They don't keep multiple disks for your VM. Okay, if the corruptions are very rare, but that very rare also you have to, business will think all the bad things and they prepare for it. Though it won't happen, they'll prepared. They think that it will going to happen. They need to have all type of recoveries. VM snapshot, product continuous backups should be there captured to recover, to have the recovery up to the point. And we have the backups of the SQL Server within the VM to the PaaS model, to the PaaS service. It is like a third-party tool within the Azure itself. We have third-party tool. It's not a third-party tool, more than better than the third-party tool options we have it. You can capture the continuous backup with the PaaS service, which doesn't have any corruption towards the backup. I'm going to show all the topics anyway. You don't want to worry. So I'll do cover all the scenarios with the live examples, guys. Whatever I have gone through, it's not what is what. I don't just cover, what is what you can get anywhere. The entire course run through a lot of practicals. So that's what we need to focus. You need to grab it and practice it. So it is so simple to work in the real time when you have to. Okay. So next, security. Security something, you create a VM disks are encrypted by default. You don't have to do. There's a inbuilt platform managed key. Using that key, all the VM disks are encrypted. If you create the SQL Server database, by default TD enabled in the PaaS model. You don't have to do. By default TD enabled, and it is encrypted. So if whatever the data is actually taken by hacker from Microsoft, they cannot do anything, because everything is absolutely encrypted. No one can do any damage to the data, because they cannot see the actual data. It is encrypted data. So how you can, your role will come into picture. If I'm creating a SQL server, who I am allowing to connect. So my responsibility, protecting the data in terms of connectivity, is a shared responsibility. It's a cloud responsibility. They have blocked everyone to not to connect to the SQL server by default. You are allowing whom you wanted to connect. So when you are allowing, you have to be careful. You have to choose the right network. If you choose the bad networks to allow, bad people will come and do the bad things, right? So it is a shared responsibility model in terms of network security. Data recoverability is 100% given with all the services. Only network side is a shared responsibility model. You have to also allow the people who are really, you wanted to get into your network. You have to allow. It is your choice. How you can allow, how you can disallow is a networking model. We have 4 classes on the networking side. I'm going to show that how we can control the traffic, how we can block, how we can open one IP, one entire subnet, one entire network. Everything we're going to see in all directions. Okay, there we're going to see, we're going to talk about reliability, and everything will be justified. These points. Cloud is 100% safer than on-prem, I can say, based on my experience, because cloud has a lot of boundaries. Only you yourself put your under risk by giving bad rules. The rules how you'll end up bad rules, we will talk about. Next, why we need to learn cloud, right? Why we need to learn cloud? The demand because of these reasons, whatever I discussed. Again, out of all the clouds, why we need to learn Azure? The next thing, okay, why we need to learn cloud, we understood, but why we need to learn Azure now? So Azure is something for SQL product especially. So SQL product I'm talking about here. So let me show this. So Azure is 5 times less than AWS in terms of casting towards SQL Server and Windows Server. See here, Azure versus AWS. Here it is written. AWS is 5 times more expensive than Azure for Windows Server and SQL Server. Clearly written. For all SQL Server, they have to come to the Azure, not to the AWS. If they are going to the AWS, they are paying 5 times extra, because Microsoft is giving the hybrid benefit. Hybrid benefit means you're running the on-prem SQL Server, use the same licensing, you straight away get the 50% discount almost. And also by default the product itself is cheaper because it's their product, their cloud. They're encouraging people to come to the only Azure cloud, and people are moving towards Azure nowadays because Azure is giving a lot of deeper discounts than AWS in terms of costing. Yes, there will be some services Azure is costly and AWS is cheaper compared to other third-party softwares. When it comes to the Microsoft softwares, I'm talking, Azure is the best platform to get the deeper discounts and also more easily manageable services. You don't have to spend too much of technical stuff, guys. Microsoft products are always user friendly. They make the products user friendly. That's the good thing. Anything you look at Microsoft side compared to other competitors, Microsoft products are always user friendly. Maybe they take the more resources to make that user friendly wizard based, but anybody can work on that. Like, you can easily get the technician from the market because people can easily learn the technology and support it. So when the technology is growing, they need the technicians availability. So technicians can easily develop in the market because the products are user friendly for the Microsoft. That is a fetching point. AWS is started in 2006, in fact, okay, way back. And Azure is started also nearly 2010, but they started getting the response from the market 2014, in fact. So the AWS is nearly 8 years ahead of, in terms of seniority and deployment model, 8 years. But Azure has a most, advanced infrastructure than AWS. Compared to AWS, Azure has a way behind infrastructure. I mean, the more data centers, the more regions, the more countries they have, they're covering than AWS now. And also infrastructure wise also, Azure has leader right now. Azure is a leader in terms of infrastructure as of now. And AWS is a leader in terms of revenue now. Still AWS is holding the higher, market share compared to Azure in terms of revenue, in terms of, like returns on the, cloud side. It is roughly sharing 40 plus 41 42%. This is sharing up to 36%, very close anyway. Maybe 1 or 2 years it will surpass. So Azure is the top leader, in the almost top leader now in terms of infrastructure. It is way ahead than the AWS as of now. And Azure is growing than AWS now because of the easy of migration. And AWS, I do work on AWS also. AWS, if you wanted to migrate from on-prem to cloud AWS VM, there is no direct method. You have to go to the S3 to Storage Explorer, Explorers to the VM. So there are 4 layers. Azure is not like that. You can drive straight away. You can move to the SQL Server. Straight, you go to the Azure Blob and directly to the SQL Server. There is no, again, third-party involvement is not required. So AWS is complex compared to Azure, I would say. I do work on both the clouds, but Azure is so simple in terms of any migrations part. If you talk about administration-wise and services interaction-wise, it is so simple. AWS made a lot of complexity with identities and all that. It is really complex compared to Azure. Okay. So Google Cloud is actually, it's a crawling, like slowly it is coming up, but it's not a big competitor to these companies now. It is slowly becoming competitor, but it's not even 10 to 15 share also. It is not holding in the market in terms of cloud at the moment, but it will happen soon. Everyone is, coming in the race. Right. Why Azure again? User friendly, easy to learn and manage, rapid growth in the cloud computing. First thing is user friendly. Anybody can learn Azure, Microsoft products in for that matter. Easy to learn and rapid growth in the cloud computing. It is showing exponential growth than AWS. Compared to AWS, last 5 years, Azure growth is way beyond the AWS in terms of growth. So Azure is 8 years behind the AWS. They're trying to catch with the cost and infrastructure already surpassed. Understand how rigorously they are working on it. More regions and data centers than any other cloud provider at the moment. Cost effective compared to other competitors. Azure is, see, Microsoft always develop something which will definitely compete with other product, other vendors, always. Any technology, any software come into the market which Microsoft doesn't have, they'll build alternative close to that, and then they release at the cheaper cost. That's how they sustain in the market since the beginning. That's how they play basically. So Microsoft products is never ending. They have their products forever at all. Why? Because any feature that is not there when someone is developing, they'll embed automatically. They'll They cannot even, no one can file a case against, because they will do the same thing in a different way. So that's how the Microsoft actually, anyway, everybody knows that Microsoft products, right? And what kind of certifications you can take after this course, this is another thing, right? So I'll give the AG 104, you can take it, it's up to covered up to 60%. And you can take this one, especially DP 300. DP 300 is a certification, is for the DBA. Basically it will be covered up to 70 to 80%. I have the dumps which people already got passed, and this also I have the dumps. I have almost other dumps also, because people attended, they gave the certification, they passed, they shared the dumps with me. I'll share all of them once the course is ended, and resumes will be given, interview questions will be given, and almost the course is designed into roughly 10 modules. Basically we will talk about first VM side, then we'll talk about networking side, then slowly we'll move to storage side, then we'll enter into the product side. First I'll cover the entire infrastructure, then I'll enter towards the product side. So when I start the product, you don't get any questions at all. So most of the time I would myself ask the questions, answer myself, because you don't know the concepts, you may not ask the questions. So that way this will go in interactive way. It is like, I'll ask all of you to ask all your doubts. When you get the doubt, don't keep it quiet, please. Why? Because if you keep it yourself, it will be doubt is doubt forever. So I would highly encourage everyone to ask your question if you have it. I'm here to answer because I do have a lot of experience to on the cloud side. So I'll at most I'll give my best to answer your question. Okay, so that's there. So any questions from anyone? We almost done with the content of demo, and this is what I want to deliver. So any questions from anywhere? Anyone? If not, stay back everyone. I'll stop the recording and talk.